Imagine a business landscape where innovation meets opportunity, where companies are not just surviving but thriving through strategic education, progressive work models, and smart cost management. This is Progressive Solutions for Business Success, Insights from the Bahamas Chamber. Today, we're diving into how the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation is leading the charge with progressive solutions designed to propel Bahamian businesses towards success. From corporate tax advocacy to the relaunch of the Chamber Institute. Join us as we explore the strategies that are shaping the future of business in the Bahamas. Keep watching. A brand new episode of You and Your Money starts now.
You and Your Money is brought to you by Focall and Leno.
Welcome to You and Your Money, everyone. Joining us today to talk about education and empowerment, the relaunch of the Chamber Institute, is the CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Mr. Leo Rolle. Mr. Leo Rolle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ria. Great to be here.
Now, Leo, tell us, what inspired the relaunch of the Chamber Institute and what are the primary goals you aim to achieve with this initiative?
So the Chamber Institute used to be one of the striving pillars of the Chamber, and it has gone dormant for a while. And so shortly after onboarding, I realized that there was an opportunity to ensure that we help the business community with skills and capacity building, as well as nurturing those fledgling entrepreneurs. And so we relaunched the Chamber Institute with the hope and intent of ensuring that the business community has a solace that they can go to where we can provide a level of professional development and training courses, not only for them as entrepreneurs, but for those employees that are in those businesses as well. And so our primary goal is to strengthen the business landscape, one client at a time.
How does the Chamber Institute plan to address the specific training and development needs of businesses in the Bahamas?
One of the things that we always do as a chamber is speak from the standpoint or the vantage point of our members. And so by surveys and ensuring that our members have a voice, we are able to tell where those areas of concern are, where those gaps are, where those skills and capacity building shortages are, and helping with those specific key needs that those employers need. So for instance, we are launching the Certified Business Professional suite of courses in both sales and customer service, given that those were two areas that businesses felt or decried the challenges that they were having. And so what sales does is it helps to, of course, bolster the bottom line, but it teaches those employees that are in the sales industry what are the key matrices of being a salesperson. How do you handle objections? How do you know when it's time to close the sale? How do you get referrals? And with customer service, it helps because now you have an employee who is more customer oriented. Even if they're back of the house, how do you serve the internal customer? And so what are some of those the language that you use? How do you now deliver internet customer service, telephone customer service? And so as we continue to streamline the service offerings, you'll see more and more services, more and more courses that are specifically geared to those skill set gaps and how we help our businesses to bolster those gaps within their walls.
Now, you talked about or gave us some insight in terms of that as being one of the programs. Are there any other key programs or courses that will be offered through the Chamber Institute, and how are they tailored to the different industries?
What I love about the Certified Business Professional suite of courses is that it is a designation course that is provided through International Business and Training Association. And what that does is it allows for a number of what we call core competencies. So there's customer service, sales, leadership, business etiquette, and communication. Okay. And what we find is that these core courses are strategic enough that they can align to almost any industry. But there are also some very specific courses that we're looking and ramping up to run for industries like the insurance industry. And so looking at some of those designation courses like the IMF, looking at some of those courses like the new agents training, looking at professional selling skills, all of these are courses that we can offer. Also, when we look at, let's say, the medical field, there are courses that we are in conversation with some organizations to offer, like the medical billing and coding course. There are other very generic courses like stress management, coping mechanisms, handling objections. All of these different course offerings are applicable to certain industries, and what we are finding is that it's easier when we can align them with, one, our existing member base, but also for those industries or those businesses that we're looking to onboard to the chamber. Providing that avenue of training that is applicable to their industry is another inducement to become a chamber member.
Now, while there are many different plans in terms of the courses and the programs that's being offered, how does the Chamber Institute plan to measure the impact of its training programs on the growth and success of the business in the country?
In two ways. We have key performance indicators that allow for us to ensure that the training programs and opportunities that we provide are working on the onset, but there are also follow-up efforts, and we are more keen to the follow-up efforts because what that does is it allows for us to see on a real-time basis whether the training programs and the mechanisms that we have in place are working. One such mechanism is secret shopper missions. So anytime a course is completed, we then go behind and do secret shopper missions in the organizations to which those employees came from to ensure that the training that they got is not only pertinent, but it's also being done in real time. What we then do is provide a standardized report to the organization that says, here are the competencies that your staff were trained on. Here are the areas where we saw those competencies being displayed while on the job, and here are the areas for continued improvement. And here are the courses that we recommend for that continued improvement. And so we do that consistently to ensure that, one, businesses are getting bang for their buck, and to ensure that the affective domain is being touched. I'm a teacher by profession, and so the affective domain is something that's big for me because you always hear, how will I use this in everyday life? And so always ensuring that whatever it is that we train, whatever it is that we teach, whatever mechanism that we put in place is being applied in the everyday life of those businesses through the employees that they service.
And I can't help to pinpoint the fact that you talk about, partnering with businesses. What role do partnerships with the local and international organization play in terms of enhancing the offerings and the reach of the Chamber Institute?
Shortly after onboarding, I always said that one of the strongest fights of any business is those corporate collaborations. And so how do you connect and partner with other organizations, whether local or international, to help with some of the strategies and to help with some of the things that you plan to implement? We've partnered with International Business and Training Association, which is the watchtower for the Certified Business Professional course. We're also partnering with 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗧, which is the watchtower for professional selling skills. Dale Carnegie is a partner, which is a training and professional development organization in the US. We have local businesses and organizations that we've partnered with, like BIFs, as well as the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas, through working to get our course for those new agents, and then some of the training organizations locally as well, because what we'll find is we will need trainers, we will need persons who will help with that professional development, partnering with organizations to get groups of persons to come out, partnering with organizations to help us with secret shopper missions, partnering with organizations to help us with the development of our core curricula. And so there are so many different organizations and spheres that have come together in this, what I call Herculean effort, to ensure that the Chamber Institute not only relaunches, but is successful in the months upcoming.
Now, I must ask, for those persons or the businesses that want to know, how can they find out more about all of the courses that's being offered, or even if they have a specific course that they would like to see you put on for them?
Sure, great question. And I love the latter part of your question relative to businesses who want a streamlined approach to course delivery. One of the businesses that have reached out to us was Microsoft or IBM. And IBM is actually keen to put on a AI training. And so we can tailor training programs to the specific need of a business once they come to us and say, well, here are the skill set gaps that I have. Here are the challenges that I'm having. Help us to put on this streamlined program, and we can do the same. If a business is in that same sphere as IBM looking to put on a program specifically for your organization or for your employees, you can reach out to us at institute@thebahamaschamber.com, or you can go on our website, www.thebahamaschamber.com, and it will take you to a landing page of our institute where you can see all of the course offerings. You can also reach out to us at 322-2145, and that allows you direct access to a dynamic team of women that are ready and available to assist you with your training and development needs.
Leo, we have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at navigating economic shifts, corporate income tax, and energy cost challenges. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 Holdings Limited is proud of its consistent growth and the financial success it continues to bring to many Bahamians who invest in the company. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡 is committed to ensuring optimal financial performance for its shareholders. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡's leadership remains focused on superior customer service and operational excellence across all sectors. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡, fueling growth for people.
Man, I thought retirement would have slowed you down.
It's the island life, son. Living in paradise.
Must be nice. Can't wait until it's my turn, if that day ever comes.
My financial planner has provided me with solutions for my future. Pension, retirement, and even property management.
So who helped you with all this?
Let's go, son. 2 more miles.
What's Leno?
Get ready for the 20th 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗚 Business Outlook, September 19th at the stunning 𝗖𝗥𝗡 Beach Resort for a full day of insightful discussions under the theme Future 𝗖𝗥𝗡, Branding the National Identity, Planning for Success. Hear from our keynote speaker, the Honorable 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗧. Don't miss our interactive panels on infrastructure, hospitality management, and airlift development. Secure your spot today at tclevents.com or call us at 322-1000.
Welcome back to You and Your Money, everyone. In this segment, we'll be continuing our conversation with the CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation, Mr. Leo Rolle. We'll be discussing navigating economic shifts, corporate income tax, and energy cost challenges. Now, Leo, how does the Chamber view corporate income tax, and what strategies are recommended to mitigate its impact?
The Chamber is actually a proponent for corporate income tax, and here's why. When we look at the corporate income tax structure and the way it's being proposed, we realize that what it will do is sort of level the disparity between the tax regime in country. What that means is that organizations or businesses who have an international presence, as well as those organizations that earn in excess of 750 million euros annually, will have a base minimum of 15% tax added to their revenue stream. What that then does, or what it means, is the majority of Bahamian-owned businesses or businesses that have no international footprint will be exempted. There are other organizations like governmental organizations, churches, nonprofits, etc., that are also exempted from that tax. What we find, though, is that, as with all things, a massive and robust educational campaign has to ensue to ensure that businesses, one, understand what it is, and to ensure that the cost and ease of doing business is not eroded for those businesses that have international presence, such that they take their business to other jurisdictions where the cost and the ease of doing business is lessened. You want to make sure that it's done in incremental changes and not where it's just pushed down the throats of the business owner and say, here's the new tax, live or die with it. And so having those streamlined approaches can help, but it's not the be-all, end-all when it comes to implementation of such a robust tax system.
What solutions is the Chamber advocating to help businesses manage high energy costs?
Whew. That's a big one, Ria, because what we found over the years, or over the few months, especially with the government now looking at a robust campaign or a robust, what we call, reform of the energy sector, is that there has been an increase, a stark increase in bills for consumers and for employers or businesses, with a paradoxical decrease in service. And so what we're finding is that businesses are stressed because there are a number or a myriad of increases that have come down the pipeline, whether it be an increase in minimum wage, an increase in NIB, an increase in customs duty importation, now an energy crisis. And so when businesses' bottom line is impeded, what you find is that it triggers inflation, which is the systematic increase of goods and services. And so from a chamber standpoint, we are working very closely with the energy sector or energy environment, such that we've actually heard from them shortly after releasing the article, relative to those streamlined or strategic energy audits, which are coming on stream for 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗪, as we learned. 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗪 is the first line of those energy audits. And so helping by those energy audits, what they will do is allow for businesses to see where the wastage is and provide a measure or stopgap measures to say, well, here are some of the things that you can implement. From a chamber standpoint, we too are making some changes, and what we've done is completely solarize the lighting at the building. We've invested in high energy or high efficient air conditioning units, and we've created a plethora of energy saving tips or conservation videos that we've made available on a library for all of our consumers that they can now go and see. Now, even with the energy reforms, what we're hoping that, or pleading with the government to do, is to make sure, again, that there is an energy, or there's a education, and a completely revitalized public robust awareness campaign of those reforms to ensure that the public knows what's happening and they're also at the table at what's happening. And so that's what we're doing from an energy crisis, and making sure that on a weekly, monthly, annual basis, our consumers and the voice of the consumer is heard, whether it be through inland revenue, making sure that those changes are done systematically, or through the energy crisis that we're trying to grapple our way through now.
Now, how is the Chamber shaping the dialogue between the government and private sector on taxation and energy reform?
So what we're doing is actually ensuring or bringing together those parties, or being a bridge between government, private sector, and our members, such that PPPs are becoming more prevalent. We note that there's an energy crisis in places like 𝗖𝗎𝗓𝗓, and so we had a member reach out to us trying to get a meeting with the powers that be to look at some of the things that he's proposing. And so we've been the glue between the organization and the government agencies that have the responsibility. We're also looking at strategic ways to ensure that, as we mentioned before, when we look at the reforms, we're looking at other avenues. And so we've created or implemented a tax reform committee and an energy reform committee. And what that does is it helps us, because we have some of the best and brightest minds on those committees that help to look at other ways or alternative ways, not only through solar, but also wind energy, also wave energy, current energy, and then helping through international trade, talking with the Chinese embassy to look at ways where we can bring in more energy efficient appliances and solar panels, etc. And also next year, we have a delegation that's going to India. And one of the biggest things with that delegation is looking at some of the energy saving tips, mechanisms, appliances, etc., that can help to bolster a better economy and ensure that the bottom line isn't corroded with energy costs.
Now, how are businesses adapting to these economic shifts, and what support is the Chamber providing to ensure their growth?
So I think it's slow and forthcoming, as you find whenever a business is challenged, especially with the cost and the ease of doing business, then it becomes burdensome not only on the business but also on the consumers. And so what the Chamber is doing is making sure that the voice, one, is heard, making sure that there are avenues for these business owners to be able to vent and to be able to actually get some measure of reform or some measure of recourse for some of the things that they need. We're also looking to bring together those business owners and those decision makers. So you'll find that more and more we're inviting decision makers into the caucus of the Chamber, and we're doing so strategically and intentionally to ensure that there's always a listening ear. Some of the bigger businesses who want to speak to the Prime Minister can pick up the phone and they can call. But what about those fledgling businesses or those smaller businesses that have no outlet? And so from a Chamber standpoint, our National Conclave of Family Island Chambers is coming up in October, and we were very strategic with who our keynote speaker is. It's the Prime Minister for a very strategic reason, obviously because there are businesses who want to hear from him, who want to have that listening ear, and they won't have that on a regular basis. And so bringing together these persons, these decision makers, customs is on one of our panels, inland revenue is on one of our panels, NIB is on one of our panels. We have trade and industry that's on one of our panels. And so doing this now brings together the decision makers with those who are being impacted by the decisions that are being made.
Well, Leo, we had to take another break, and when we get back, we'll talk about workplace innovation, the 4-day work week, and trade opportunities. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station, open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Get ready for the 20th 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗏 Business Outlook, September 19th at the stunning 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗏𝗡 Beach Resort for a full day of insightful discussions under the theme Future 𝗖𝗥𝗡𝗏𝗡, Branding the National Identity, Planning for Success. Hear from our keynote speaker, the Honorable 𝗖𝗚𝗧𝗏𝗧. Don't miss our interactive panels on infrastructure, hospitality management, and airlift development. Secure your spot today at tclevents.com or call us at 322-1000.
Welcome back to You and Your Money, everyone. Mr. Leo Rolle, CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation, is still here with us. In this segment, I want us to talk about workplace innovation, the 4-day work week, and trade opportunities. Leo, what is the Chamber's stance on the 4-day work week, and how do you believe this shift could impact productivity and employee well-being in the Bahamas?
Well, Ria, this one is a real touchy and soft topic, right? Because usually, or when the news broke, I think persons got so passionate about what was being said in the headline that they neglected to read the rest of the article. Because what you'll find is that the Chamber is not opposed to a 4-day work week. What we were saying was that it needs to be done first on a sliding scale where there are businesses who can accommodate a 4-day work week and there are businesses who can't. And so looking at the private sector, looking at those organizations where it's an easier, because there's no easy way to do it, but there's an easier shift to a 4-day work week is fine. Also, it has to be done in where there are massive public awareness campaigns and looking at studies from international countries where it was implemented, what were some of the pitfalls, what were some of the successes, and how will that be translated to a Bahamian economy that's heavily service-based. But you find with a 4-day work week, there are a number of variables of it. And so even from the online comments that were being provided to the dialogue, you find that there is still mass confusion about the 4-day work week, which further solidifies the point that it's not somewhere, or it's not something that can be easily implemented into the Bahamian society today. You find that there are some persons who are looking for flex work hours. That's something that's easy to be done. A physical presence in a brick and mortar does not productivity equate. And so if we are talking about flexi work hours where you say, okay, I work 4 days from the office and 1 day remote, then that's easier. It's an easier transition than a traditional or true 4-day work week. Then there are some persons who have the impetus that they would want 4 10-hour days versus 5 8-hour days. And what that then does is it comes with its own level of challenges, because now you need, let's look at a single parent. Who's going to take care of the child for an extra 2 hours? There are some businesses that aren't even open for 10 hours a day. And so what happens to those businesses? It may, yes, help with when we look at work-life balance, managing stress, being more happier because you have an extra day off. But what you found with some of the studies that were done was people are so tired on that extra day off that they use the entire extra day to rest, and soon after they want to go back to the traditional 5 8-hour workday. And then there's the true 4-day work week, which persons are advocating for, where there is a 32-hour, 4 8-hour days, which equates to 32 hours. And so what that does is it means that there is a day when businesses have to either close or hire more staff. Who's going to take on the added cost of continuing the full salary of an employee who's now only working 32 hours? And so it adds more undue stress to the business community. Now, while I too may want to work shorter hours or have an extra day off, or what I call a longer weekend, I have to look at it from the standpoint of a business owner who's already muddling or already challenged with so many different things, as we mentioned earlier, an increase in NIB, an increase in minimum wage, increase in the cost and ease of doing business, now coupled with having to have shorter hours, but the same pay and benefits. And so those are some of the things that we look at or we're trying to bring to the forefront when we talk about a 4-day work week and how it was successfully implemented in other jurisdictions and what it should be done or how it should be scaled when it comes to the Bahamas jurisdiction.
Now, how might the adoption of a 4-day work week influence trade opportunities for Bahamian businesses, both locally and internationally?
So it's a great question. What you find is that the Chamber is very big on trade. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we have a number of trade missions, not only to China, we have one to Kuwait, we have India on stream, we have an inbound to Canada. What I think a 4-day work week will do is yes, some of the studies have shown that it helps productivity, but some have also shown that it hinders productivity. And so when you look at a hindrance to productivity, you looked at some of those, in some of the industries or some of the businesses that are open 5 days a week or even 6, we still can't get the things that we need to get done during that period or that time frame. And so how then will that impact trade? How will that impact foreign direct investment? When they look at the cost and the ease of doing business, and they say, well, okay, I can get a 5-day work week or 5 full days in this jurisdiction at a lower cost. But I can only get 4 days in this jurisdiction at a higher cost, and then the productivity is shot. And so when you think about productivity and trade, it goes hand in hand. And a 4-day work week, yes, may very well impact trade where persons are more inclined to want to come to the Bahamas, to want to work in the Bahamas, to want to do business in the Bahamas because of a better work-life balance and an ease of doing business or ease of having that 4 days. But then it may also have the opposite effect where persons avoid the jurisdiction completely. What we're saying from a chamber standpoint is more research, more public awareness campaigns, more case studies, and more real evidentiary based or evidence-supported hypothesis needs to be done so that we can ensure that it's not something that we start and stop, but something that is done and streamlined and implemented where it doesn't impede the work-life balance, it doesn't impede business operations, and it doesn't impede trade, as you mentioned it earlier.
You mentioned the research component. Are there any other strategies or best practices that the Chamber is actually recommending to businesses considering a transition to a 4-day work week while also expanding their trade opportunities?
Yes. So one of the biggest things that we've noticed when we look at the studies is that there are a lot of time wasters when we look at the job market, or the 9-to-5 traditional, as we call it. And so one of the successful strategies was ensuring that meetings are tailored down to half an hour. That's a strategy that shows that we are a country of meetings and we can meet all day, right?
Yes.
But making sure that meetings are strategically done where it's only half an hour saves, because now you have the rest of your work the rest of your day to ensure that work is being done. You also want to challenge your employees such that if you see greater productivity, you want to measure that, one, but you also want to reward that such that those opportunities become more viable. Looking at work-life balance strategies like more fun days, more personal obligation days, more remote work opportunities helps, because now the employees feel happier and they want to come to work. And then also doing it in smaller bite-sized, more palatable ways. If you do it in a smaller, streamlined way, you can then look at some of the gaps, look at some of the measures, and then say, hey, here are the challenges we've had, and here's how we plan to overcome these challenges if the 4-day work week is something that we plan to implement off the bat. We find that hotel and healthcare workers are easier to have that done. But it also takes a measure of the law being changed, because we know that anything over 8 hours is overtime. And so there are so many challenges, opportunities as well, but so many challenges that have to be overcome with the 4-day work week, that if a company is going to implement it, we recommend doing it with the streamlined approach that we said, and then incremental changes that helps to ease it in and make it more palatable.
Well, Leo, there are definitely some good tips that you offered just now. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you, Ria. It was a pleasure to be here.
That's it for today's show. Don't forget to follow You and Your Money on Facebook and tune in next week for a brand new episode. I'm Ria Christina. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
You and Your Money was brought to you by 𝗖𝗙𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 and Leno.